Next, my good friend Joe Satriano has really had an impact on society for so long. And I met Joe because I read about Joe and about his foundation he started after he wrote this book, In Sickness and Health, A Memoir of Love, about his journey with his wife Susan. And after Susan passed, Joe got an inspiration. And that inspiration, after he lost his wife, has been incredible. And without further ado, to further the story and talk about the book and his journey and the foundation, we give you Joe Satriano, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you, Howie. That's a very, very nice introduction. I'd like to meet this man you're talking about. Yeah, you know, there's not a single person in this world that I know of that hasn't faced some form of tragedy, whether it be a scratch, a maim, a death, cancer. I think what makes us us is how we deal with the tragedy. And we all have choices. You could bury your head under the covers if you want to, or you can do something about what's been given to you. I was married to my wife Susan for 29 years. We were both high school math teachers. Now, you know the best part about being married to a math teacher, Howie, don't you?
They multiplied twice.
Thank you. And the kids are born on the same day, 5 years apart. Did you know that? That's
the math teacher in you guys.
Yes, well, we did a lot of calculating. We're math teachers. But, yeah, and, you know, Sue, 16 years into our 29-year marriage, unfortunately contracted breast cancer. And then 13 years after, she did pass away. It took me 6 months to kind of get my head together because I was totally lost. And here was the choice that I had. I could have either continued to bury my head under the covers, or I could do something. I decided to start the Susan Satriano Foundation, named after Sue, of course. And the kids that I target are basically kids that really come from an experience that I had watching my own 2 boys watch their mom's 13-year demise. So, you know, I noticed how they really never get noticed. You know, there's a lot of energy for the cancer survivor. There's some energy for the caregiver, but when it comes down to the kids, no one notices them. But yet they suffer just as much as we do, if not more. So the kids who get the award from the Susan Satriano Foundation, and by the way, no tests, no essays, they have enough on their plate already, I'm not gonna add to it. They have to meet 3 requirements. Number 1, they have to be a graduating high school senior, that's easy. Number 2, they have to be going to an accredited college in the fall because it is a scholarship for their higher education. Here's the kicker, number 3. They have to have a parent who's either passed away of cancer, presently battling, or in remission. If they meet those 3 requirements, they get the award, hands down. I'm so proud to say, you're looking at the foundation, it's me and me alone. I just reached, at the end of this past academic year, $1 million in scholarships.
All right, that's a great accomplishment. Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you. 14 years worth of scholastic years, and I've reached out to over 1,700 kids. But truly the best thing that I do, I think, more than the money that I give out, is I go and talk to every single child. I ask each school district to give me 20 minutes with each kid. And the one-on-one that Harvey was talking about before, and with these lovely people who opened this facility, which is great. And by the way, Howie, I don't know if you know, I met them previously last year at Long Beach High School. They were handing out their first award, their first annual award, and I was already 8 years into mine at Long Beach. And we started talking, and it was great to meet them and now reconnect with them as well.
Oh, I think it's great.
Yeah, so small world how that happens. But yeah, I go and talk to every single child. Long Beach High School had, I believe, 17 kids last year who got the award. I don't turn anybody down. I couldn't live with myself doing that. Baldwin had about 22, you know, it goes on and on. But last year I ended up helping about 205 kids across the nation. For the kids who are in California and Texas and all those regions, I do Skype interviews with them. The only disadvantage is, Howie, I gotta get dressed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Only waist up though, of course.
Okay, I got you.
They don't have to know what's going on below the desk. Sometimes I don't even know what's going on below the desk. But that's a whole other story for another time. Anyway, so then I amazed myself further by actually penning a book, In Sickness and in Health, A Memoir of Love. You know, I'm a math teacher, what do I know about words? But I can guarantee this about the book. The pages are numbered consecutively.
That is amazing, that is awesome.
Yes, I knew that the words would confuse people enough, I certainly didn't want the pages to. And also the hardcover version makes a much better doorstop. So you can stick it in between any door and any hinge, it'll keep the door open all day long. But it's actually a book not about loss, even though you know the ending. It's a book about hope and optimism and love. That's the way Sue and I lived our life. And the best part of the book, I think, is that 100% of its proceeds goes to the foundation. So since the book's been out, the foundation's grown by over $20,000, which is amazing that people are reading this. I mean, I know the author personally. I'm not quite sure I'd be reading anything he wrote, but they don't know him as well as I do. So they're buying it, which is amazing. Makes a great holiday gift, by the way, folks. Anyway, the other thing too that I find, and I run Beatle concerts and all kinds of things to raise money, donations and whatnot. I started the foundation with Sue's life insurance check. I took the $10,000 and I divvied it up amongst 4 kids in Oceanside High School, and it's grown in leaps and bounds to the numbers I just told you, which is amazing, and it continues to grow because districts from across the nation are finding out about the foundation. And like I said, I don't turn anybody down, so it's all good. Just one last thought, I'm actually writing a second book because I didn't learn from the first one. This one will take you to Sue's last breath. The next one will take you from that moment on, which by the way includes the hilarious dating scene at my advanced age. Hilarious. That should be a book in itself. But you may like the title, Howie.
Oh, I think I remember the title. It's called, appropriately enough, Aftermath.
Yes. Thank you, thank you. Do I have too much time on my hands?
Absolutely.
I do. But anyway, so it's been an amazing run. I plan on doing this as long as I can. I love being in the academic circle still, keeping my foot in the academic door. It hurts sometimes when it slams on me, but you know, we keep it going. And bottom line is we're helping kids. And kids are the future of this country, and we want to do the best we possibly can for them. So that's my
story. Before you go, Joe,
yes.
Harvey has a few questions for you.
Uh-oh.
So take it away.
I hope they're not political.
They're not questions. By the way, I was a special ed teacher and a school administrator for 20 years in East Meadow.
Oh, congrats. East Meadow is one of the schools I do help.
Well, it's my family. I mean, like I say, interesting because we're very similar because I've given scholarships. I have endowment scholarships for nurses, for anybody who's going to work with people with disabilities. With nurses, I have at Hofstra a Ricky scholarship for anybody who is disabled or needs any kind of financial support. Hofstra, Delphi, Stony Brook Hospital, another one for nurses as well. We started a child cancer center there many, many years ago. And I also, in fact, I don't raise money very much, I just give it away. I've given my pension away for over 10 years. And we utilize resources, and I'm not trying to impress anybody, but I want you to know that, I mean, in the book, it tells the story, but at one time, and I'm sharing this with the people that are here tonight, that the governor of the state of New York took $90 million out of the budget in the state of New York for mental health. And being a parent, I confronted him, and I won't go through the details, but on March 28th, 2013, on YouTube, you'll see a speech, and I got the $90 million back. Never happened in the history of the state of New York. And then 2 years later, I got another $55 million for direct caregivers, because, of course, they are unfortunately underpaid and overworked. But I know what you're saying about doing what you're doing, and I'm doing the same thing. I did this book by myself. I set up a foundation. It's a Harvey and Ellen Wiesenberg, a special needs foundation. But you know, I found out I don't want to go out and sell books, but the books should sell itself. And what I really want to do, and I'm going to ask you and use your resources and your experience, how I can get the book to parents. I mean, I give them away because I can't ask a parent for money. I mean, and we set up programs, but every parent who has this book, I mean, the things, the thank yous that you get, and I'm sure you're getting the same receptions. I mean, you're touching people where they have to be supported and understand life is a challenge. There are good days and bad days, but look at what we're doing to help people. And that's something that I applaud you for. And I know just what you're saying, and I was married for 50 years, and we were together every minute of every day. So I feel blessed, and I understand. And we opened up a breast cancer garden here. I started that about 30 years ago. Sue Rosenbaum, the first president of the 109 from Long Beach. And we're involved with the Hewlett House. So we're doing the same thing, helping the same people. And it's a pleasure to meet you. God bless you. Great job.
Thank you. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you know, to promote books is probably the most difficult thing. My publisher told me after I finished the book, she said to me, "You've done the easy thing, writing it. Now the idea is to get it out there." You know, since we're talking about Long Beach, and we're here in Long Beach, I consider, imagine each grain of sand on that Long Beach beach to be a wonderful, incredible foundation. How do you get your grain noticed? That's the tough thing, right? So what do? You promote yourself, you get out there, you try your best, I've been on radio and television to try to promote things. Articles have been written, which is wonderful about the foundation. In your case, Harvey, you know, since you're looking for parents, I would go to PTAs. I'm sure you've done that.
All the septus and everything else. Yes.
Yeah, you know, schools, you know, deal with the principals or assistant principals or superintendents. I'm sure you've done that as well. But, you know, they are the ones who can reach out to the parents, and your book is a valuable one that parents should get their hands on. So, yeah, it's difficult. I'm not poo-pooing the idea, but it's.
I have something of interest because of the workout situation that we're talking about where we are tonight. Many years ago, a 14-year-old youngster was playing lacrosse in Northport, was hit in the chest with a ball, had ventricular fibrillation, and died on the field. I called the family, the Acampores. They lost Lewis, as I said, 14 years old, and we had a conversation. I went to Albany and I put a defibrillator in every school in the state of New York and then everywhere else, and you can't imagine the lives that have been saved. And Alan and I were invited to Washington, where we were honored by the American Heart Association. And you know what? We had survivor dinners, which was you're sitting at a table with people that were pronounced dead and alive today. So these are some of the rewards. Your scholarships are going to help people to do everything that you want them to do to make this a better world. And I give lifetime scholarships. I don't know if they. In Long Beach, we take care of, as you know, there were hundreds of them there. But we do that, and that's what the city's all about. But I think that's, I experience, I know what it is to lose a loved one. And I say this, and people know this, that I don't mourn the loss of my wife. I celebrate every minute of every day of my life that we've had together, and we're one person. So good luck to you. Congratulations on the fine things that you're doing. God bless.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Harvey Riesenberg and Joe Satriano. That was great.